So again, just shuffling the deck. You could do this by a few different ways, either how many times if you have a specific number that's important to you, or again, you can just sort of shuffle until it feels ready. And that's more on that intuition based shuffling.
Now, these cards I know were built a little bit smaller, so you can see our girl there struggling a little bit to shuffle them. They are
They're a little tinier.
tinier, they fit in the palm of my hand, so.
All right, then we have our 3-card draw, and because this is kind of a mixture of tarot and oracle, obviously it would depend on which card fell where, but you could either read it as just general life events or advice or lessons that you might need to learn, depending on if it's a tarot card that comes up or an oracle card. I typically use oracle cards as lessons that I need to learn or, guidance. And so there is our 3-card draw.
Now, the mirror layout, that one's one that I don't use either, but it is one that some people do, and it's meant for a self-reflection. So these cards are about you specifically.
Yes, and then the card that would go over the mirror would be what the gods see reflected in you, or something similar to that. Again, you can ascribe different meanings to these positions for whatever works for your particular situation too.
Yeah.
All right, next, Shiel.
And I'm going to make a remark on it. How wonderfully she shuffled those, even though they were difficult. Those are ones that are a bit slippery too, because, when they're brand new, they're slippery. And some cards, I'd like to mention too, that some people do ascribe to when you're shuffling, if one singular card pops out of the deck and falls into your lap or on your table, for some of us readers, that is considered a divine message that says, hey, look now, right now, listen right now. You need to listen to this card. This card is telling you a very important message. Listen. So some people do read cards like that where one just pops out while they're shuffling. And again, the 3-card draw. This particular deck, you can do confirmation cards too, like any other deck. And again, like Sarah said, it is a mixture of 2 cultures. That is the Nordic and the Celtic cultures. So Irish and the Vikings, what everybody refers to as the Vikings, or the Norse. So it's a reflection of both cultures, but it's a self deck. So it's not a deck that you would primarily use to read for other people. It's a deck that you read for yourself. So it's a self-inflection deck. And again, Larissa's, not Larissa's 6-card draw, sorry, but you can do that one too. The mirror draw, again, like I was saying with Sarah, this one is about you entirely. It's talking directly to you with the mirror draw. And it's saying a lot. And again, the middle card is how you may be viewing yourself, or how the gods may be viewing yourself, or what your inner dialogue may be at times. So the middle card or the mirror card is you, and everything else around you is what's happening or what may happen.
If I can interject really quick, I also find these cards are amazing for shadow work. If you're somebody that does shadow work, that mirror layout would be amazing for shadow work.
Absolutely, you are completely right on that one. It is a good deck for shadow work.
Yes, 100%. So last but not least, I will go. So same as what the other ladies were saying, you're going to want to give yourself a very good shuffle. My daughter had a little bit of a difficult time, but not really that bad. The deck has actually been reimagined to be larger than these now, so we only have 2 of this size left. So if you're really keen on getting a smaller deck that actually fits very nicely into tiny pouches, this deck is perfect for that. But here she goes trying to shuffle. And in my instruction for her, I told her to split it into 2 distinct decks, because I find sometimes when you have larger decks, you want 2. And so she's going to draw from both sides, and I told her to randomly pick which one she was drawing from which side to make sure that you're basically, broadening the pool. You don't want to always draw from the same side. So here she goes again. She's going to set up to do her 3-card reading. There's like 88 cards in this, so shuffling 88 cards is not easy, especially when she has tiny little hands.
It's rough.
And here she goes. She's going to pull from both sides and has her 3 cards. And then she's going to turn them. I myself do not work with writing the bones upside down or reverse. I read them the same way either way. So again, varying how I do my layouts. But you're going to get the same answer, past, present, future, or maybe sort of possibly, and depending on what you think. And this is our mirrored layout. We did this one very uniquely for this deck because in many of the mythologies, both the Morgan and Hell both use mirrors in the underworld to reflect upon you. So we brought that mythology into the deck. You can use any sort of mirror that you want. I had a little spare square mirror lying around. And so you can interpret the deck however you want, in whatever order that you want, but the center card, as everybody said, is you, and how the gods see you, and what messages you have directly for yourself. And again, as everybody was saying, do not use this particular layout for someone else. You never want to give a reflection of someone else's nature to them. That is something for them alone. So you should not do that kind of reading for someone else. You'd want to stick to the 3-card or one of the other layout variations that you can get from our little guidebook and use that instead. Never use this one for someone else.
As a side note to that, if you really wanted to do that for a mirror reading, what I would do if they really insisted on it is let them shuffle the deck and let them draw the cards, and then you can interpret for them.
But never do it for someone on someone's behalf, because just as Hell would not reflect someone on you, you don't want to reflect someone. It's not your job to reflect their nature back to them. It is
or to reflect yourself on them, because it could mix the reading and skew it, where you're both sitting there looking into the mirror.
Yeah, and that we don't really want that kind of. We're not therapists, right? We're readers. So
it just doesn't give them an accurate read either.
Right.
It doesn't give them what they're looking for.
Right, and you're not. This isn't, like I said, readings are not supposed to be therapy sessions, and you come here for messages from the gods, from other beings. You don't really come here to get self-reflection. That's something you need to do on your own. So if you're doing readings like that, you make sure that you're taking appropriate measures to make sure your space is secured and safe, because working with mirrors has a lot of connotations to it, especially, as Sarah said, in shadow work. Mirrors are particularly powerful. So make sure you're using your mirrors appropriately.
Cleanse your mirrors.
Yes.
This is where you would want to.